wee surprise broadcast for you from IndyTruckDavy. Give me a wee minute to put on Facebook. That's Facebook on board. Good morning, people. So what brings Davy to your screens today? Well, as you know, folks, I didn't plan on broadcasting, but I keep a note of that. I'm still watching what's going on in the headlines. And for those of you who are seeing this for the first time, I do a newspaper review each morning. So what brings me to your screens today? Well, this brings me to your screens today. Let me sort that out. And well, we go. Scots NHS wasting millions on woke non-jobs. And if you're on TikTok, you'll have seen the video on TikTok this morning. This headline is a bollocks. When you read the story, what it tells you is over 5 years, NHS Scotland across 14 health boards spent £5.6 million on equality, diversity and inclusivity. Now let me sort this headline out, okay, and give you a bit of perspective. There are 14 regional health boards. That breaks down to them each having spent $400,000 over 5 years in making sure that patients and employees were treated equally, that their diverse needs, such as culturally and religiously, were taken into consideration, and that they felt included in the system, and that they'd skin in the game. Now, when you break that £400,000 for 5 years down per health board, because that's what it is, 5.6 million, divided by 14 health boards over 5 years, it comes down to £80,000 a year per health board. Now that's either 2 average wage employees in the health board looking after equality, diversity and inclusivity, 2 people, or 1 well-paid officer for equalities, diversity and inclusivity. Now this 2 people, let's say it's 2, on an average wage of about £28,000, because the tax is going to be paid in tappy, remember. So that's you breaking your 80,000 doing it to 2 people. Okay, for the size of each health board. And they've got to cover staff and patients. It's another piece of bollocks. This isn't wasted money, this is important, especially as we import an awful lot of our doctors and an awful lot of our nurses. We need to make sure that they feel equal working in our NHS. We've got to make sure that the diverse cultures and religions are covered by our NHS, and we've got to make sure they feel included in the system that they're working in. Never mind for the patients. That's just for the staff. And to say that's a waste of money is a false headline. But when you think about it, 5.6 million over 14 health boards over 5 years, it comes to £80,000 a year, or 400,000 per health board over 5 years, and £80,000 a year. That's 2 average income employees or 1 high-paid officer to look after equality, diversity and inclusivity. And when you think about the amount of foreign people who work in our NHS, these 2 or 1 person are very important. That headline is a bollocks. It's a nonsense. It's a non-story, and it's an SNP bad story, Scotland shite story. And that's what Davy's dander up enough to make him broadcast when he's on holiday. That sort of thing needs called out. And why this fucking English rag, with a tagline of Scotland put on it, the Daily Mail, is getting away with this shit, I have absolutely no idea. Anyway, I had a look, and it so happens that NHS England, Wales, and Northern Ireland all have employees in their health boards which deal with equality, diversity, and inclusivity. Would you believe it? This is a non-story. This is an SNP bad story. It's a politically motivated story. It's not even a real story. Because guess what? You go to any medium-sized company, and in their HR department, or somebody who deals with equality, diversity, and inclusivity, every single bloody sector, even the newspaper sector, even the printed news sector, in their HR department somewhere will be somebody who deals with equality, diversity, and inclusivity within the workforce. And obviously, that's just the workforce. The NHS is a patient-centric body, institution. So these two people on an average wage of £28,000 a year, and each of these health boards, or one person on a wage of about £60,000 a year, and these health boards have got to cover patients and staff. And you'll find them in any you'll find an officer for equality, diversity, and inclusivity in almost any medium-sized industry in their HR department, right across the board. It's a non-story. And you're right, Martin Boyd, it is an attempt to reverse the bounce for the SNP after the general election. And of course, support for independence has gone through the fucking roof. But this needs to be called out, and it needs reported to the regulator. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make I'm going to make a report to the regulator on this, because this is nonsense. And anybody here that works in a medium to large sector, and the company will have an HR department, whether it's outsourced or whether it's in-house, and they will have an equalities officer there in that HR department. So there you go. So that's what broke Davey your screens today. This nonsense needs called out. So, keyboard warriors, I don't normally say share my IndyTruck Davy stuff, but share this, because this stuff needs called out. Less than 80,000 a year by each health board to make sure that their employees and that the patients are treated with equality, and that their diverse cultures and religious needs are covered, and that they feel that they've got skin in the game, that they're included. Not just for patients using the system, but for employees brought in from overseas who need to definitely integrate into the system and into life here in Scotland. This nonsense needs called out. Share this around. Thanks for tuning in, folks.